Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. It is Thursday, and it is that time again for the Three Amigos. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing just so much better than I was even 48 hours ago. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, you look better, a little bit more color. You don't have that raspy throat, so you are on the mend. We are happy to see that here.
The color's from my kids hitting me. I wish I were joking.
And congratulations on the Business Insider article. That was fun to read. So that kudos to that. And Dion, how are you?
Howdy, doing great. Glad Matt's feeling better because I have a feeling in this video I'm going to get to tell him he's wrong a bunch.
Wow. Well, let's just start off hot, guys.
Always my goal.
A man can dream, I suppose.
I suppose. Well, I think it's been about a week. MeetKevin put out a video basically trying to clarify how interest rates could go up and housing won't collapse, because you guys all know he's been one of the big pushers. Hey, rates go up 1%, housing has to crash 10%. And if anybody been following my channel for any length of time, you know that that's not the case. In fact, we have an entire decade where that was not the case. So MeetKevin, I think, finally had to answer it, and he pulled out his trusty whiteboard and he said a bunch of stuff. So before we get into it, I asked both of you to watch it, and I thought maybe you would tell me what you took away from it. Why don't we go to Matt first so we can see where he's right or wrong?
It's not a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, I don't know.
So generally speaking, Kevin was right. Where he makes the mistake is that he talks about how in 1956, PMI came about, and in 1971, the biggest issue was going from a 20% down payment down to a 5% down payment. Mm-hmm. And so he doesn't see any corollary to that being able to happen today. Mm-hmm. And that is where he is misguided and makes his mistaken assumptions, is that we have a 40-year mortgage, which we did not have back then. Then it was a 30, that was your option, and now it's going to be a 40. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that he said it right in the video himself, that the biggest impediment to getting on the property ladder is the deposit. Mm-hmm. It's not the rate. Then he starts talking about how important the rate is. Yeah. So he lost himself in his own argument. My guess is it had something to do with the color of the walls in his room. And what it really comes down to is it comes down to the fact that there's going to be a 40-year mortgage, and there's already programs out there today for down payment assistance. And this is without the banks really even trying. Yeah. They're not even trying hard yet. They have not tried hard on anything yet. So they're just starting to get their people to say, hey, if you as a mortgage broker want a job in 90 days, you need to start producing something. And we're going to come up with this program and this program and this program and start pushing them and see which one starts to stick. So all due respect to Kevin, he's missed it. Not shocking, because he's not really that into real estate anymore.
Right.
And so what really needs to be watched is the 40-year mortgage, the down payment assistance programs that are going to come, and then sadly, what's going to be some exotic loan products that are going to start to hit the market. When those three things start to happen, things are going to depend less on rates, and certainly real rates. Things are going to depend less on that. So whatever shakes out with the Ukraine-Russia situation, whether it's 30, 60, 90 days or 9 months, the US market will be doing something in that gap to ensure that transactions slow as little as possible.
Yeah.
How'd I do?
A lot there. Well, next we'll go to Dion, see what he wants to color, lines he wants to color in.
But it's always hard to follow Matt, because I do like the opportunity to say you're wrong on something, but you're so much smarter than me. You actually hit all the points.
Not true.
The thing I like to take away from watching MeetKevin is it seems obvious that he watches one rental at a time.
Yes.
He quoted the claim that in the 70s, when rates went up, home prices went up, basically line for line, what you've been saying for months. Don't know that that's true, but it seems like it.
Yeah, it's certainly I mean, I had to watch the first 30 seconds a few times. I'm like, those are my words.
Those are your words. I absolutely, it's what I saw too when I saw it. And I really like how he clarified at the beginning of his video what Matt summed up with. Kevin said, I've been thinking about the real estate market recently because it's not a big thing to him. No. His income is from YouTube and courses and whatever else he's got going on, to where real estate is a thing for him. I think it's for most of us, it becomes this, that's the reason I'll never have to work again. And now I can try all these other things I want to do. And if they work out, great. And if they don't, I still don't have to work. Mm-hmm. But I really like how Kevin pointed out, it wasn't rates. He did say, here are some outside of rates factors. And he picked PMI and he picked low down payments and he kind of touched on wages. But Matt's right. We normalized the 30-year mortgage and lower down payments, which let house prices go easier. We made it easier for people to become home buyers, like we are with a 40-year mortgage. Penalizing investors right now. This morning, the 10-year kind of was spiraling down again, just out of nowhere, dropping again, which is weird for me to say those words because I don't normally watch that stuff. But I call my lender and I say, hey, I'm paying attention to rates. I've got a duplex that's at 4.8. I might think about refinancing it, pull that rate down a little bit. So just let me know what's going on with rates. And they, I want to say, clapped back with, sure, for a home buyer. But as investors, Fannie and Freddie have these penalties in place where it's going to be like a 5 something to refi, not pull cash out, be better than 50% LTV. So it's easier for a person to become a home buyer right now than an investor because of the low down payments and the stretched out mortgages. But then Kevin at the end of his video said something that to me sounded genius because it's what I said. So obviously it's smart. The Fed could rapidly increase rates, pull the rug out from under, as he called it, which can scare everybody and cause the next recession, which would then cause the Feds to lower rates because they don't want a recession either. Again, you think that's possible over a longer time period, 2, 3, 4 years. I think before the end of 2022, still have my bet in place. If they went up, 500 basis points or whatever you want to call it, to where the home buyer rate was now 8, 10, 9, 10%, the recession would be so strong, transactions would drop so much that rates would come down before the end of the year. That's where I see it. So,
yeah. So I'm glad you guys watched this with me because my reaction video probably would have been more, I don't know, almost
upselling my stuff,
attacking. But there's just a lot in it. So when I've watched it 3 or 4 times now, and again, I think he has watched my stuff, or enough people said, Kevin, go watch the 50-year spreadsheet because we've done so many videos on them. There is this decade where rates went up. He said rates doubled. They didn't quite double in the 70s. It was actually 12 years, but whatever. But again, these numbers, this is important, right? It was 12 years, not 10. So rates did double. He talked about the PMI and lower down, but he didn't hit wages enough. This is all wages and it's all payment. Down payment is a contributor, but it's not the main thing. It's the payment. Like, why are car loans 7 years now or 8 years? It's the payment, right? So you guys are right. I think what we have in front of us, much like the 70s, is we're going to go from a 15, which went from 15 to 30. We're going to go from 30 to 40. It's already happening. I've already brought you lenders on this channel that are doing 40-year loans. Second, Dion, I'm hearing more and more people talk about investor loans in the 5s. So you are absolutely right. FHFA is layering on conditions to penalize investors and once again, shrinking the amount of loans. If you guys aren't seeing that the powers that be, the government, want to incent homeowners, you're not paying attention. And lastly, as Matt said, what is that going to mean? It means we are going to see all kinds of first-time home buyer programs, whether they be tax credits or matching or whatever, they are coming. They're going to create a clear line of delineation. And again, with all respect to MeetKevin, to Greg Dickerson, who he and I disagree on this, prices do not fall simply because rates go up. There are so many other contributing factors. Yes, transactions may fall, but just because transactions fall doesn't mean prices fall. 1982 or 83, transactions fell 50%. Prices went up 2%. I don't know what you guys, everybody wants it to be the Great Recession again. It's not coming. The debt structure is different. It's not coming. You missed it. Do the work, find a good deal, find a great deal. Stop listening to these idiots who told you not to invest last year and you lost 20% and you didn't get the lowest interest rates. You didn't get the extra cash flow from higher rents. Stop looking for the Great Recession. It's not coming. We could have a bad recession. We could have unemployment double or triple. That doesn't mean real estate in Fresno, California is going to fall 75%. The setup is not there. It is not coming, at least not coming soon. So
that's the really good thing about Kevin's video. In this video, he never said, wait for the crash, wait for the correction. Don't be buying now. He said, this is what's going to happen. Prices can go up. Even if he talked about in a recession, prices can still go up because it's not tied. They're not tied together. Mm-hmm. Had he even hinted at that, then I would have been as, attacky as your reaction video might have been.
Yeah, I think at the very end, he talked about rates and so again, sort of back to you, Dion, if the Federal Reserve allowed the 30-year mortgage rate to get to 8%, that would be a problem. However, there would be so many other problems in the United States that the real estate market would be the smallest problem. I think 6% is the number. Greg and I disagree. He thinks it's 4 and then kind of thinks it's 5. I think it's 6. I think transactions get cut in half at 6%. We could have some markets like Boise and others really struggle at that. But Kevin, he said at the very end, and I went back and listened to it, he still thinks real estate could fall 20 or 30% if rates went up enough. That's not how it works. It's not this on or off thing. It's not like a stock that could get whacked and come back, or, he called it a rug pull, right? He's using all these stock market and crypto terms for housing. You don't have rug pulls in housing. These are where people live. This is like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It doesn't have rug pulls. That vocabulary annoys me. It's very different.
There's one other aspect that, and I'm hoping I can articulate this because this is not my realm. Normally, when the feds raise rates, it becomes more, the rates go up to buy real estate. Businesses that need to borrow money to grow or maintain their business also pay a higher rate.
Absolutely.
But not this year, but not today, literally not today. The EIDL loans are still in existence at 1.5%, no matter what happens to the Fed rate. It's 1.5%, and possibly some of that is forgivable. So there are companies that I know of that are borrowing money at 1.5 to take care of loans that are based on the Fed amount that could get them forgiven. So there's still money being spent on the business side that isn't impacting real estate. So I don't know that increased rates are going to cause as much of a recession as we're hoping for.
Yeah. Matt, you were going to say something?
So I think one of the things that a lot of people, and certainly we saw it in the Great Recession and in other recessions, is it does largely correlate to energy costs.
Okay.
So let's just get nuts. Let's say that Washington pulls their head out of their proverbial butts and says, you know what, we're going to give a special incentive for the next 48 months on anybody that opens up one of those 9,000 open leases, and we're going to keep the terms exactly the same.
Yeah.
And with the midterms coming up, that is something that is absolutely 100% on the table. And if you want to see the stock market go nuts and us continue on a great path, open up some of our energy and start selling that around the world, because we would be the world's largest energy producer and a net exporter. And that would set our market and economy on fire in a good way, because it would actually be based on the sale of goods and not just moving of paper around. So I think that what so many of these people do is they come up with their idea of this is the theory and this is now can be the narrative. And what they never take into account is all of the little possibilities that can happen along the way that can completely turn something on its head, or can completely take your plan out of commission 1000%. Because how unbelievable would our economy become if in 6 months we have $1.79 gasoline again? The world would go nuts. Like it would go nuts. So, and you look at the global effect that would have, we would cut Germany's energy costs. We would cut all of these other countries' energy costs way down.
Yeah.
And so now you have this massive global boom again. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I did appreciate that Kevin addressed it, because again, Kevin is one of those folks that have been saying rates go up 1%, housing has crashed 10%. Oh, by the way, rates are up 1.5% already, I'll have you know, and housing is up 20%. So he had to, he and others should say something. So again, housing slowdown does not mean prices, it does mean transactions. But again, we are in an environment where the administration is going to go after homeowners and help them and penalize investors. And as Dion said, it's already happening. So again, anytime Kevin watches the channel and does a video on my stuff, I appreciate it, because 1.8 or 1.9 million followers. I love the fact that he's given information. Clearly, we think it's important to talk about it. So I'm happy to see that he did. Dion, where can people find you?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom.
And Matt?
Lumberjack Landlord on YouTube and Lumberjack Landlord on Instagram.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike.